I'm Lorie Marrero, creator of the Clutter Diet book and online program, and today we're going to talk about the real reason that you're not getting stuff done. We're going to talk about what the late Stephen Covey taught in the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So these are the 4 quadrants that he mentions in the book. Quadrant 1 is urgent and important. These are things that you must do. These are things that are screaming for your attention. They're absolutely necessary. They may be pressing deadlines at work or some kind of crisis that you're managing, and you absolutely will take care of it. So Quadrant 2 is not urgent, but very important. These are the proactive, smart, foundational activities that you should be doing, that you would be putting off probably if you didn't have those Quadrant 1 things nagging at you. So they're not tugging at your attention, so they're very easy to procrastinate. Things like organizing your closet, for example. The other things in this quadrant would be spending quality time with your children and your spouse, exercising, cooking at home, doing those things that are good for your health and your long-term goals. So Quadrant 3 is urgent but not important. These are things that are screaming at you or beeping at you, but they're not important, so they would fall into the category of a lot of email messages, a lot of meetings, probably those TPS reports that you have to do at work are urgent but not important. I think you know what I'm talking about. So Quadrant 4 is not urgent and not important. So these are the trivial time wasters. This is, snapping out of it after 4 hours being on Facebook or YouTube or just surfing around and not intending to have done that. Video games are another way that this happens. So as you can see, you want to minimize the amount of time that you spend in Quadrant 3 and 4 because these things are not important. They're not going to take you any closer to your goals or your personal priorities. So what we want to do is spend as much time as possible in Quadrant 2, where things are important but they're not urgent. And because these things get procrastinated, they tend to get put off until they become a crisis, and then they fall into Quadrant 1, which you don't want. So for example, if you're putting off an organizing project, that might be okay for a day or a week, but then the day comes when you can't find something really, really important to you for something that you need today, and it becomes urgent and it falls into Quadrant 1. So what you want to do is keep up with the Quadrant 2 stuff, carve out time for that and make it happen before it turns into an emergency and becomes a Quadrant 1. So what we found is that what we do, organizing your home, is definitely in Quadrant 2. And when people have crises like a problem with their child, that becomes a priority 1 thing and a Quadrant 1 thing, and that's easier to pay attention to. So what you have to do to get those Quadrant 2 things done sometimes is you have to create your own urgency around them so that you make them more of a priority. So for example, you can do that by creating your own deadline. So why don't you have a gathering at your house, have a party that will spur you on to get those organizing projects done. Another way that people create urgency is to have accountability with other people. We talk about this a lot in my other videos. So that is a great thing to do, is think about what is important to you that you're not getting done, and how can I create urgency around that so that it feels more like a Quadrant 1 activity, and maybe I'll get it done faster. So think about that. What's in Quadrant 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 that maybe you should be reallocating to a different quadrant or not doing it at all? So I'd like you to share in the comments what you think about your life and how you're spending your time. And also, if you need help getting that accountability and creating that sense of urgency for your Quadrant 2 things, that's what we do. In our online program, we have our message boards where we do online consulting 7 days a week, and many of our members come in and say, okay, this is what I'm going to get done this week, this is when I'm going to get it done, and I'm going to come back and report in when I'm finished. And it creates that urgency and accountability to make that happen and gain that momentum. So you can check us out at clutterdiet.com/learn-more. See you next time, and may you always be happy and grateful for having more than enough. Sound like a Chewbacca. We're going to talk about what Stephen Covey taught in the Seven Habits. Sorry. Oh, wait, I'm sorry.